Something in Argentina, you know, Argentinians, we are used to live by the day, to have a plan A as part of our lives, but to also have plan B, plan C, plan D, plan E, just in case. And the just in case applies for every part of our lives, even religion. So, you know that we are, in Argentina, we are 80% Catholics, Roman Catholics. We are not really a very religious nation, but 80% Catholic. But many Argentinians believed in what we called a popular saint. Did you ever heard about this concept, popular saint? It's somebody that is considered to be a saint by the people, but not, it's not recognized as a saint by the Catholic Church. So, and in Argentina we have many, and one which is very famous and very important. The name of this popular saint is Gauchito Gil. Did you ever hear about Gauchito Gil?
No.
You know, on that handbook with the information that Luis gave you the first day, and you have it at the very back of your suitcase, and you never read. Well, there is a few pages there about Gauchito Gil. Gauchito means little gaucho, like it's a diminutive of gaucho, and Gil was his last name, G-I-L. And he was a soldier that he fought in a war that was actually a very important war that took place in the mid-1800s between Paraguay against Argentina, Uruguay and Brazil. So there was an alliance of Argentina, Uruguay and Brazil to fight against Paraguay. It was called the War of the Triple Alliance, or the War of Paraguay. And it was a big war, and Gauchito fought on the Argentinian side. When the war ended, he returned to his original town as a war hero. Be considered a very brave soldier with a lot of courage, and the other soldiers believed that he was a kind of a wizard and has this ability to skip bullets. So after the war ended, and Gauchito Gil was in his farm in the province of Corrientes, which is halfway in between the Buenos Aires and the northeast, the Iguazu Falls, halfway between that. It's a very beautiful area. And right after the war ended, a civil war started in Argentina. A civil war that the fighters were Buenos Aires against the provinces northeast from Buenos Aires, where Gauchito Gil lived. So it was a draft, and Gauchito was a compulsory draft to the army, and he escaped. He deserted. He said that he could not spend the blood of his own compatriots. He cannot kill another Argentinian, so he became an outlaw. And in a way, our old local Argentine version of Robin Hood, stealing from he became a robber on the road, so he steals from the people with money, and became very popular among the poor people, the gauchos. So he was wanted, dead or alive. And to make the long story short, sheriff finally caught Gauchito Gil, and instead of sending him to the court, he decided to make the sheriff decided to make a quick justice with Gauchito, so decided to kill him on the road. And he commanded his 3 deputies to shoot at him, at a very close range. And the 3 deputies, they shot at him, but the 3 deputies missed the shot. So they got scared, because maybe this thing about Gauchito Gil being able to skip the bullet was true, so they escaped. And the sheriff was left alone with Gauchito Gil, so he tied Gauchito from his feet, or from a tree, and to make sure that he will kill him, he took the knife of Gauchito Gil. Remember that gauchos in Argentina, the weapon of choice of a gaucho is not a firearm like the American cowboys. The Gauchos use knives, big knives, that are named facon. So the sheriff took the facon of Gauchito Gil, and before cutting his throat, he asked to Gauchito Gil, you have any last words? You have anything to say? And Gauchito said, yes. After you kill me, you better run to your house because your son is very sick, very ill. You pray that I'm going to be sitting next to God and I'm going to help your son. Those were the last words of Gauchito Gil before the sheriff killed him. He buried him on an unmarked grave and returned to his house, the sheriff, just to find out that his son was very sick, very ill. So he became the first believer of Gauchito Gil. So he bent on his knees and he prayed, and the son got better. So he returns to the grave of Gauchito Gil and set up a cross that says Antonio. That was his name, his first name, Antonio Gauchito Gil. And since that day until today, that place becoming one of the most important pilgrimage places in the country. People from all over the country go in there to ask for things or to thanks for things to Gauchito Gil. It's located at about 500-600 miles north from the city of Buenos Aires. So we are very far away from there. What kind of things do you ask to the popular saint? No, most of the true believers of Gauchito Gil, they are also very devout Catholics, but they are Argentinians. So you ask to a Catholic saint, and just in case, you also ask to Gauchito Gil. No harm on that. So people ask for a lot of things. I'm going to explain to you later what you can find when you visit the main sanctuary of Gauchito Gil, far up north. But one of the things that people promised to Gauchito Gil when they ask for something is to build at the side of a road a little shrine in his honor, where people can go and ask for things or thanks for things. And these little shrines of Gauchito Gil that are like a small branches of the big headquarters of the big shrine where he's buried. Nobody's buried on these little shrines, but they're all along the roads in Argentina. Last year in the winter, I drove from Calafate to Iguazu in the northeast, trying to count, and I said to myself, I'm going to count how many Gauchito Gils are on the way. It's a way also to make the road more entertaining. And I stopped at the number 1,000, and I don't even reach Buenos Aires. Don't even went to the place where Gauchito Gil is buried. So there are literally tens of thousands of these little shrines at the side of the road. And well, we're going to exercise our learning and discovery skills now. You see over there to the left? Yes. That's a shrine of Gauchito Gil. This is a very special shrine for us, for the old family. Some things happens after we visit this shrine, not once but many times. So it is kind of a mandatory for us that every single old team coming in or out of this border will stop at this specific shrine and to leave something to Gauchito Gil. We have another program, that do the same itinerary but backwards. They start in Calafate. So when we stop with that program, we ask to Gauchito Gil for an excellent, unforgettable travel experience. With this one, you that are almost finishing your Patagonian adventure, instead and ask for it, we are going to stop to thank Gauchito Gil for an unforgettable travel experience. And this is the way we're going to do it. Gauchito Gil was a soldier, an outlaw, so there is one thing that he really liked. Many things. One was, of course, something to drink, and I'm not talking about water. So a very traditional way to thank Gauchito Gil is by leaving some type of alcoholic beverage. So Luis brought here a beer. So we're gonna leave a beer to Gauchito. And also Gauchito really likes the color red, because red was part of the uniform that he used as a soldier on the war of the Triple Alliance. So I brought some red, some red pieces of fabric, so we can tie it there at the shrine. So it's a very simple ceremony. You are please all invited. And then after we do this, I'm going to explain to you about why Gauchito Gil is so important to us. Okay?
Oh, gracias, señor.
Gracias.
Bottles of wine.
This is like Santeria.
You know that there's one bottle of wine there that was like $280.
No.
Really?
Yes.
Really?
Really?
Do people take it, the alcohol?
No, they can. They're going to be punished.
It's a pretty little tree.
We just anywhere? 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 Anywhere is here for Mayor Gil.
That sounds good. Okay, I just wanted to say thank you to Gauchito for the beautiful trip that we had, the beautiful weather, all the special moments that we experienced, and help us continue to have wonderful travels, happy trails. Oh wow, we have a lot of things to be grateful for.
We didn't want to leave trash here because we imagine on the floor, and we took the can so we don't leave it in the...
Don't drink.
If you notice, all the empties are almost...
What are you going to do?
I'm anointing the...
Oh.
You have to do a little dance. Yes.
Put a little on the photograph.
Over there is the picture.
Thank you, Gauchito. A very local thing to do.
It's all lit up.
That's just...
It's all lit up at night.
Winter keeps them warm.
Is it lit up?
Is that the same thing, the little red one? It's also a stripe. Yeah, the little red hat. Yeah.
Put apples
And I guess there is a little heater to keep Gauchito warm. What was it, a heater?
No, it's a light.
That was very good.
So pay attention on the road to see how many you will find. There are many on the road from here to Calafate. So I was talking about this main shrine of Gauchito Gil. It's located in the province of Corrientes. Yes, about 500, 600 miles north from Buenos Aires. It's a kind of a very weird religious sanctuary. First, because it's all painted red. It's not really a big building. It's just where there's a small 6 by 6 feet building with a glass where the cross is located, and everything around is kind of an spontaneous. This is not an official religion, so there is no priests or no pope for Gauchito Gil. There is no authorities. There is nothing written. There is not a Bible of Gauchito Gil. So there is totally spontaneous. So spontaneously, people build sheds around the main shrine where other people can go and live, things. So everything is painted red because the favorite color of Gauchito is red. So a religious sanctuary, red. Then smells like a dive. It smells like booze and cigarettes. And another thing to leave to Gauchito Gil is lighted cigarettes. Red candles, so there are red candles all over. There is always loud music, loud, nice, entertaining music, like folkloric music there. And around the sheds where people can leave things, there are like stores selling all the Gauchito Gil memorabilia. You can buy from, this, for example, sorry, where I left it, somewhere. You can buy from flags to beer mugs, coffee mugs, statues, like from this size to a full-size statue of Gauchito Gil. And then, sorry? You can buy knives, mates made that says Gauchito Gil. For example, let's say that you want to buy a new car. So you ask the Gauchito Gil, Gauchito really would like a new car. So when you finally get your car, thanks to Gauchito Gil, people leave the license plates of their old cars there. So there are walls full with thousands of these car plates with pictures of the guy, you know, with his new car, you know, the family with the new car, saying gracias Gauchito. Couples looking for a baby, who wanted to have a baby, and if Gauchito Gil helps them when the baby is born. First, there is a lot of babies named Antonio or Antonia because of Gauchito. But also the couples leave the little wool socks, the wool socks that the newborn use. They leave it hanging from one of the roofs of one of the sheds. So there are thousands of these baby socks with pictures of the baby. Says gracias Gauchito, I named my son Antonia because of you, thank you. And women looking for a husband lived, not the old husband there, but the women leave their wedding dresses. So there is another shed with hundreds of wedding dresses, all with a plastic cover and taken care of, because it is considered in the area, is considered a lucky charm for your wedding. Use one of the used wedding dresses on the shrine. So local ladies from the area, just or people traveling miles, hundreds of miles, go there to pick up a dress for free. Nobody's, you pick it up, you can choose among hundreds of models. So the model that suits you, you use it for your wedding, and then you return it to the sanctuary. Also with wheelchairs and clutches that people, recover from accidents, leave at the shrine, other people can take them too. So imagine this place, with loud music, full of people, with a huge market around, and you enter there with the license plates and the baby socks and the wedding dresses, and it's really a different type of religion, but it has a lot. It is based on the Catholic religion. They believe of saints, of some people after they die, they're close to God, so they can perform miracles on His behalf. That is something very Catholic, right? And it's mixed with a pagan thing that a popular person and was a good person after they died, they can do it even if the Catholic Church do not recognize them. Right? And the Catholic Church is, of course, do not recognize these popular saints, but they do not condemn people doing this. Just they look the other way, because they're also very devoted Christians, the ones that are devoted to Gauchito Gil, and this is like the backup, the just in case. I'm not very religious either, but just in case, I bought this flag the last time that I went to the main shrine of Gauchito. I think I'm gonna pass it around. And there is a reason in OET. So this is a story that I would love to share with you. There is a reason of why in OET we use that shrine and not any other of the ones that you will see on the way. And the beginning of the story is in 2006, almost 14 years ago now, when the company was about to release the first program in South Patagonia. Before that, we work only in the Antarctic trips. So they decided, okay, it's time that we give a chance to South Patagonia. So in 2006, the company developed this program, this Wilderness and Beyond. And of course, before the first real trip begins in October that year, in August, 2 months before, the company decided to send the trip leaders involved on the program. I was one of them. We call it a drive run, or kickoff. It's a way not to see the places, because we all knew these places before. I was living in Calafate for a while, but in order to, let's say, to OAT To make a normal, regular touristic trip into an OIT travel experience, we need to do things different. So we need to get together and make it happen. So we started the other way around. It was August in the winter, so the ship wasn't working. We didn't. The ship wasn't in our plans. Just this first part of Patagonia from Calafate to Punta Arenas, right? So we started in Calafate. We went to the glacier that we're gonna go tomorrow to Perito Moreno, and then the next day, early in the morning, we all left Calafate to came across the border with Chile. And of course, one of the main goals of that day was to develop stories or subjects to talk about with our teams in these long bus rides of 4 hours, with nothing much to see than this. That is the real Patagonian steppe. And of course, as a learning and discovery, local interaction is not really much. We cannot stop in a market or almost nowhere. Maybe we will see a gaucho, but it will be like a very unoccasional. So as a learning and discovery, the subject of these popular saints shows up because it's something that is unique from Argentina. So the belief on Gauchito Gil is only from us, and there are a lot of little red shrines all along the road. So it was we considered that it was very interesting to share with our teams. So we stopped there at the shrine. We were 11 trip leaders and 3 ladies of the regional office in Buenos Aires. So we were including our boss, Magdalena, which is the regional manager. She's still the regional manager. So we were all kind of new. We don't know each other much. We were starting this, so we were all learning about the old philosophy and everything. So we stopped there just to tell. We all went out, just the same as we did. We have nothing to offer, but we were just telling to our Chilean colleagues. Half of the group was Chilean. The story of Gauchito Gil. So we were there just telling the story when something happens. One of the trip leaders, just to be funny, just to make a joke, he grabbed one of the full cans of beer from the shrine, just grab it, and just to be funny, did the attempt to open it and drink it. Just hey, take me a picture. Everybody says no, don't do it. Put it back. He put it back. We finished with the story, and we all went back to the bus. But that was enough. Popular saints are considered to be very good if you're good with them, but they are really very bad if you, at some point, you are disrespectful with them, right? So we all went back on the bus. We have to cross to Chile. So we were in Argentina going to Chile. So we stopped at the Argentinian police to do our paperwork. And the driver went first, like usually. We were staying here, just talking. These trips also are nice, to interact with your co-workers. So they are very funny trips too, the drive runs. So we were here on the bus, waiting for our bus driver to finish his paperwork, but he was taking too long. We were the only ones. This was August, in the middle of the low season, so there were no other buses waiting online, no other buses in front of us, behind us. We were the only ones there. So after 15 minutes, we just went inside the police to see what was going on, just to witness a big argument between the police officer and the driver. What happens was that the law about crossing the border between Argentina and Chile with commercial vehicles changed like a week before the trip. And now the police officer was asking for a form, for a piece of paper that the driver didn't have. And the driver was saying, no, I don't need this piece of paper anymore. And the police officer, yes, you need it. No, I don't. Yes, you do. No, I don't. Yes, you do. Guess who won the argument? So the police came to us, the policeman came to us and said, there is no way that you're going to go across the border today without this piece of paper. So we went back to the bus. Magdalena, our boss, she said, okay, you are 11 very experienced trip leaders, so what we should do? And of course, if you put 11 very experienced trip leaders together and you ask for a plan, what you're going to have is 11 different plans. No, we always have a plan A, a plan B, a plan C, a plan D, a plan F. So we end up with three choices. The first one was the most reasonable one, was just go back to Calafate, the nearest town, issue that piece of paper and return the next day. That is the more reasonable, so in Argentina we don't use the most reasonable. So she said, no way. If you have to cancel this, if you have to spend another day, we cancel the whole thing. So, other easy way to do it was, let's walk. It's about 5 miles. We can do 5 miles. Maybe not with the luggage. Just walk to the restaurant where you have lunch, to ask for the owner of a restaurant to his car. So maybe we can do 3 or 4 trips and we can move all together, and we can move all the whole team. That will be also the easiest way. Well, in Argentina we don't do the easy way. So she says no way, because Magdalena, the boss, she said no way, because if this happens with a real team, you cannot send your people, and you cannot leave your people behind. So the third choice was to drive south to the small town of the mining town of Rio Turbio. Rio Turbio is a small coal mining town in Argentina, which is right on the other side of Puerto Natales. You have been there in Puerto Natales, right? But on the other side of the border, close to Puerto Natales, the nearest city is Rio Turbio in Argentina. And there is a public bus that several times a day goes from Rio Turbio to Puerto Natales and back, because there is a lot of trade in boundary towns, no? So we said, okay, let's drive the bus south to Rio Turbio. It's only 45 miles. And to the bus station, and just catch the public bus to Puerto Natales, and then in the way we can call the driver that was the Chilean driver waiting for us in the restaurant in Cerro Castillo, to drive to Puerto Natales, set at the roundabout point, and get on the bus and go to Torres del Paine. The complicated way is our way, so we say, okay, let's do it. So by this time, of course, everybody on the team was blaming not the police officer, was blaming the guy who tried to open the can of beer. This is your fault. So teasing him, making jokes. We were cursed by Gauchito Gil, ha ha ha. This is your fault, ha ha ha. We arrived to Rio Turbio just 15 minutes after the last public bus left town. So we said, okay, no problem. We have money. Let's go by taxi. It's only 25 miles from Rio Turbio to Puerto Natales, so let's go by taxi. We called the only taxi company in Rio Turbio. We needed 4 taxis. Probably at those days in Rio Turbio they have just 4 taxis, because the taxis were busy, so they don't arrive all together. By the moment that the first taxi arrived and 4 of our teammates get inside and left, it begins to snow. So in the winter, in Patagonia, Rio Turbio is already in the forest, so it's very humid. So the second taxi left, the third taxi left. I remember I stayed behind. I stayed the last because I was from Calafate, so I was part of the local section of the local team. So I stayed behind, waiting for the last taxi, when I get a call on my cell phone from the owner of this bus company, saying, Sebas, I just had a call with the chief of the border police in Calafate, and he told me, and I quote in his words, he told me that we don't need that piece of paper, that the police officer was wrong, that we were right. So I already talked with the people of the border control in Rio Turbio, so you're allowed to go with the bus, right? So there were only 3 of us, all the other 11 teammates left already. We have to make the decision. What should we do? We just wait for the next bus, and for the next taxi, and we go? That will be the easy way. We said, no, let's cancel the last taxi. Let's get on the bus. Let's go to the border, and maybe in the way we can pick up some of our friends crossing the border, so we can get some part of the team together, right? The way from the city to the border patrol is not far, it's only 5 miles, but only 5 miles are uphill. And it was snowing. And by the time that we left, there were already maybe 3 inches of snow on the ground. So, imagine the 3 of us and the driver on an empty bus going uphill, 500 yards before we get to the Argentinian police. The bus slide on the snow and get stuck all the way across the 2 lanes of the road, basically blocking the road and completely stuck. We couldn't take it out. It was pretty scary because it was a big bus sliding down the snow. So finally got stuck like in the corner of the road or on the rear wheels and stops. Well, we get out of the bus. We were taking our suitcases out of the trunk when one of our teammates who was waiting at the border control saw the accident and came with one of the taxis to pick up us, right? To rescue us. So we get on the taxi and I noticed that the taxi that we were in was the first taxi leaving. It was a long time ago. So I asked to my colleague, what are you still doing here? You should be on the other side already. You left like an hour ago. And he answers, well, because of the new law, now taxis are not allowed to go across the border with passengers. So, what are you doing? I ask. And he says, we are hitchhiking. So imagine this. We are, most of the trip leaders, most of the 11 trip leaders, we are from Patagonia. So we are kind of used to this kind of situations. Here on this road, as you can see, there is not too much traffic. This is like rush hour now. Of course, there is no cell phone signals. There is no AAA. So if something happens to your vehicle, you just ask for help, and you help people too. So solidarity is very common in Patagonia. So ask to a total stranger for a ride, not hitchhiking, just go and says, no, you have an empty seat, can I go with you to Puerto Natales? It's common, normal, and people accept that. It was a weekend, so there was a lot of traffic from Chileans buying groceries and filling the fuel tank in Argentina because it's cheaper and going back to Chile. So we were lucky. Of course, the first person that we sent, we put her on a taxi and sent her to Puerto Natales was Magdalena, our boss. She was hysterical. She's a city lady, so she used skirts and heels in the office, and she was in the winter in the middle of nowhere in a mining town in Patagonia, getting on a car of a completely stranger, sliding down the hill to get to a town that she never went before. So she was really hysterical. But well, we were all there waiting for our ride when the taxi driver that took us from the accident to the police control came to us, the 3 of us, and said, guys, I have an idea. The police never saw me with you, so they don't know that you are my passengers now, my new passengers, and they don't know that I still have your suitcases in my trunk. So, why don't we do this? I'm gonna say that I'm gonna go across the border, I'm gonna take the meter out, and I'm gonna say that I'm gonna go across the border by myself. This is my own car, it's registered on my name, so I will say, this is my car, I'm gonna go to Chile to do groceries, and you go and say that you're gonna go walking the 5 miles in between borders, but you're not going to have to walk the 5 miles. I'm gonna drive just a few hundred yards, wait for you in the middle, and you get on the taxi and we go to Chile. It sounded like another great Argentinian idea. So we did that. I remember the face of the police officer. It was still snowing, huh? Remember? The face of the police officer when he stamped our passport saying, okay, this is your life, do whatever you want. The taxi driver left. We left behind laughing about the police. That is also something very Argentinian, go when the law is made, we also find a way to go around that law. So we were laughing about how foolish the police officers were. Okay, we walked 200, 300, 400 yards. Nobody was there. This guy, the taxi driver, got scared and decided to wait for us in Chile. So Chile means right across the line, so halfway. So we walked 2.5 miles in a snowstorm until we finally found this taxi driver freezing cold. We get on the taxi, we get to the Chilean side. By this time, it took us like 1 hour to do that hike. So we were 1 hour delayed from the last of our teammates leaving. In Chile, they stamp our passports, and the taxi driver came to us and said, laughing and saying, you know what, they forgot to stamp my paper on the Argentinian side. I have to go back. So he left us there on the Chilean side. He left with the car and our suitcases still in his trunk. But well, this was an honest guy, so half an hour later he returns. We get on the taxi and we finally could get to Torres del Paine, to Puerto Natales, where our teammates were waiting for us on the lobby of the hotel. Our boss was crying. She thought that something really bad happens to us because it took us like 2 hours to get there, but finally the whole team got together and we were able to catch the Chilean bus and drive to Torres del Paine. We arrived that day at almost midnight. These things, this adventure of us almost not knowing each other, it creates really a special bond between us that we shared and we maintain even with the new people that after, you know, now we are like 50 trip leaders, that is also something very Argentinians. We have no ability to make to have co-workers. We have friends, you know, at work. So and that this all the things that happens to us also helped a lot to make this special bond that makes this region, Argentina and Chile, very, very special. But this is not the end of the story. The end of the story was the next day. That was the vengeance, the revenge, the personal vendetta of Gauchito Gil against this guy who tried to open the kind of beer. By this time, seriously, just not laughing, not joking, not teasing him anymore, seriously was saying, this is your fault. No, everything that happens to us, all our bad luck, you know, was one event after the other of bad luck. So this is all your fault. This guy was thinking, you know, he was new in the company, like everybody else, so my future in the company maybe is not really great, he was thinking. So, the next day, we spent all day working in Torres del Paine, checking on the hiking trails, interviewing and training local guides, searching, looking for hotels, things like that. So, it took us the whole day. And those days, instead than staying 2 nights in Torres del Paine, we stayed only 1. And then the other night we stayed on a ranch near Punta Arenas. It didn't work, so we changed it, and now it's better. We stayed 2 nights in Torres del Paine. But at those days, we have to spend 1 night in this kind of a ranch near Punta Arenas. So by the time that we get to the ranch, it was completely dark. It was like 7 in the afternoon. Was completely dark because it's the winter at night, so it gets dark very, very early. So the road to get to the ranch was a dirt road, and it was snowing the day before. So when the bus driver was maneuvering the bus to go through the gate of the ranch, he stepped with the rear wheels on the side of the road that was very muddy, and he got deeply stuck in the mud. Deeply, it was like 5 minutes drive of 5 minutes more of driving to get to our final destination, and we got stuck in the mud. So again, everybody says, we can't believe our bad luck. Why do you took that kind of beer from the shrine? Everybody was saying, even our boss was really, really mad about the situation. So everybody out of the bus. We couldn't see nothing. We couldn't see nothing. It was completely dark. So some of our teammates went, you know, we saw the lights of the main building, so they went walking to the main buildings to ask for the owner, maybe a pickup truck or a tractor, something to pull the bus out. Some others went look for wood because, you know, to put under the wheels for traction. And this guy who tried to open the can of beer, he was feeling really very bad about the situation, very embarrassed and hoping to help, you know, willing to help. He remembered that he has a very nice flashlight in his backpack in the trunk of the bus. So a flashlight will be really helpful. So he got out of the bus, opened the trunk of the bus. His backpack was the very last one at the bottom. So he got inside the trunk, like we did when we were taking the bags out now. He got inside the trunk of the bus, got the backpack, opens the zipper, grabbed the flashlight. At the same time, the bus driver was getting out of the bus, completely dark, remember, we couldn't see nothing. He saw the trunk of the bus open, and he closed it with this guy inside, and immediately he went back on the bus, turned on the ignition and tried to pull the bus out of the mud. Now, let's go back to this guy inside the trunk. He grabbed the flashlight and heard the trunk of the bus closing, boom. For a few seconds, he thought that the other ones saw him getting into the trunk, and so he closed it on purpose to make him pay. But then when he heard the engine running and the bus moving back and forward, he realized that nobody saw him going there. So he turned on the flashlight. He was very proud, so he turned on the flashlight and see if there is any way to open the trunk of the bus from the inside. It's not. You're not supposed to get stuck on the trunk. So he started doing noises. He wasn't asked for help, so he started doing noises with the flashlight like that, just to hear that on the other side, everybody was saying to the driver, everybody who was out of the bus, was saying to the driver, stop, 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 you broke something. There is a weird noise coming from the bus. Finally he has to say, no, it's me, please let me out. Everybody was looking here. And where are you? And he said, well, I'm stuck in the trunk. After 15 minutes of laughing out loud, they decided to open and let him out. And that was a personal vendetta, the personal revenge of Gauchito Gil against him, who was disrespectful on the shrine. And since that moment, since that event, the trip continues with no surprises, with a very good luck, with everything smooth. So that night, after all these consecutive events, that night after dinner and after a few bottles of Chilean Carmener, we all stand up and we all made the promise that every single out trip going in or out of that border will stop at that shrine and leave something to Gauchito Gil to ask for an excellent travel experience and to thanks for an unforgettable one. And also part of the promise is that we will all share this story with our teams. So that's why we did this and I'm telling you the story. So thank you very much for listening.
It was a good story.
There is just one minor little detail that I forgot to mention, is that guy who tried to open the can of beer, who got stuck in the trunk and everything, he's still working with us. He's still part of the old family, and he's the one who's telling you the story now. So it's so much funnier when I say it. So since that day, everybody knows me in Patagonia about Gauchito Gil, and the story became very famous, so famous that went over the borders of the old family. So now everybody knows, in South Patagonia, everybody knows about the story of Gauchito Gil. I remember when once to a hotel in Torres del Paine named Las Torres, I was working with the private clients, with two couples, so I stayed there. I never been there before. When I left, when I gave my ID at the reception, the guy saw my ID, looked at me, and says, "You're Gauchito Gil." So, well, one of the guides of the barco, of the ship, also sends regards to Gauchito. Gauchito is me now. So
that's funny.
So I became I'm not very religious, but just in case, I became a believer of Gauchito Gil. I'm actually, I don't know if you saw me, but I left 4 red bands on the shrine today, because today is I work as a trip leader too, and I just finished the Antarctic season. I do Antarctica, go to Antarctica. So I started late November and finished a couple of days ago. So since December and January and February I was working in Antarctica. So this is my first team of out after my Antarctic season. So I left 1 band per each of the Antarctic trips that I did, and I came back alive. So I really become a believer. So folks, thank you very much for listening to the story.
Yo soy devoto de ti, Gauchito, siempre te ruego tu protección. Tan solo pido que tú me guíes, que me des siempre tu bendición. Gracias, Gauchito, por tus milagros, te llevo siempre en mi corazón. Estás conmigo en todo momento, por ti, Gauchito, es esta oración. Gauchito Antonio Gil, gracias, chamigo, sos mi santo correntino. Creo en Dios y creo en vos. Gauchito Antonio Gil, gracias, chamigo, que bendices mi camino. Yo te llevo a donde voy, Antonio Gil. Oh, Gauchito Gil, te pido humildemente se cumpla por tu intermedio ante Dios el milagro que te pido, y te prometo que cumpliré mi promesa. Yo soy devoto de ti, Gauchito, siempre te ruego tu protección. Tan solo pido que tú me guíes, que me des siempre tu bendición. Gracias, Gauchito, por tus milagros, te llevo siempre en mi corazón. Estás conmigo en todo momento, por ti, Gauchito, es esta oración. Gauchito Antonio Gil, gracias, chamigo, sos mi santo correntino. Creo en Dios y creo en vos. Gauchito Antonio Gil, gracias, chamigo, que bendices mi camino. Yo te llevo a donde voy, Antonio Gil. Y ante Dios te haré ver, te brindaré mi fiel agradecimiento y demostración de fe en Dios y en vos, Gauchito Gil.